Chapter 48. The truth about their relationship. In the moving car, Knox felt a murderous gaze circling the back of his head. He quickly wiped the corner of his mouth and let out a dry cough. You can pretend that I don't exist. How can that be? Jean smiled slightly. At that moment, she even introduced him to George generously. George, this is Uncle Knox. Uncle Knox, George called him. Good boy. Knox quickly turned his head and nodded. He deliberately said, you haven't greeted Fourth Master though. Edward shot him a look. Knox quickly turned his head and pretended not to see him. George said to Fourth Master Swan, Fourth Old Master. Quote. Edward's face stiffened. Why aren't you responding to him? Knox fanned the flames. Teddy has been feeding the mosquitoes by himself recently. He seems a little lonely. Fourth Master Swan said coldly. Knox's face immediately changed, and his expression was serious. Pretend that I didn't say anything. No. Pretend that I don't exist. Jean looked at Knox's expression and chuckled softly. It was rumored that eldest young Master Winter was the closest person to Edward. He was said to be cruel and cold-blooded. This rumor was probably too far off. Soon, the car arrived at the Swans' private residence. The huge manor was decorated beautifully like a painting. At this moment, there were many people and even a few media outlets present. It was as if they were planning to make this wedding stir up a sensation in Southampton City. The car stopped in the manor. Afterward, the car door was opened. Jean had just brought George out of the car when she saw Teddy respectfully walking toward Fourth Master Swan and whispering in his ear. Fourth Master Swan turned around and said to Jean, excuse me for a moment. Jean smiled. Fourth Master, you're too polite. Take care. At this moment, a young voice was also heard. Take care, Fourth Old Master. The person that had originally turned around and left was stiff again. Knox laughed maniacally behind him. He sized up that little brat. No matter what, he felt that the little brat was doing it on purpose. He felt that this brat had the same personality as a certain someone. Ms. Lawrence, Knox suddenly called out to Jean, who was about to leave. Jean turned around. What's the matter, young Master Winter? Do you know that the Locke's ancestral graves were broken into? Jean was stunned. Should she know? It happened last night, Knox said. Therefore, the news should not be out yet. Most of the media were paying attention to the Swans' wedding. Does it have something to do with me? Jean raised her eyebrow. To her, the Locks were simply insignificant. Last night, a certain someone wasn't summoned, so he vented his anger elsewhere. Knox explained with a smile, I'm just informing you and also reminding you how narrow-minded someone is. Ms. Lawrence, be careful. Are you talking about Fourth Master Swan? Jean asked straightforwardly. Knox denied, I didn't say that. Jean could not help but laugh. Thank you for your reminder. I'll stay far away from him. After saying that, she brought George and left. Knox watched her leave and was petrified. Was his ability to express himself that bad? Who told her to stay far away from Fourth Master Swan? If Edward knew he had asked Jean to stay far away from him, he would die without knowing how he died. Ellipsis. Jean brought George along as they walked through the huge lawn garden of the Swans. The garden was meticulously arranged and grand. Many people were coming and going. Jean casually walked around and saw Monica, who was not far away. She saw that Monia was wearing a black dress and that Finn was not with her. Instead, she saw a familiar face. Jean pursed her lips and walked over. At this moment, the two people facing each other turned to look at Jean. The man took the initiative to greet her, Ms. Lawrence. Jean was thinking for a moment. Michael Ross, the man introduced himself, I'm Eden's best friend. When Eden was in love with you, he stood me up quite a few times. Jean smiled and appeared very polite. Hello. Today, as Eden's best man, I was unable to pick up the bride due to some urgent matters. Now, I have to make up for it. Please excuse me. Michael appeared very polite. Jean nodded. Michael left. The moment he left, he seemed to glance at Monica. Monica pursed her lips. Jean saw that Michael had walked quite a distance away before she asked, your ex-boyfriend? Monica was a little embarrassed and nodded. Why didn't you tell me it was him? I was afraid that you'd be angry. Monica was a little flustered and exasperated. You were made so miserable by Eden, yet I was dating his best friend. I even felt that I wasn't a loyal friend and despised myself. Jean smiled. Silly girl, one thing is not another. You're free to fall in love. I'm not that petty, Jean said indifferently. I just can't get past that hurdle in my heart, but it's fine now. We've broken up anyway. Monica looked like she was not troubled anymore. How did you break up? Monica bit her lips. Did you cheat or did he cheat? Jean raised her eyebrow. It's not like you and Eden. Monica was a little speechless. We were forced to. The Rosses have a high status and power. They look down on us merchants and think that plutocratic families like mine stink of money, Monica said nonchalantly. That was why Michael's parents forced him to break up with me and even sent him overseas. At that time, things didn't go well either. My dad felt that he couldn't keep his reputation. He wanted to let people know that his daughter didn't have to be a Ross, so he threatened me with his life so that I'd marry Finn. So that was the case. It's just that Uncle Gary felt wronged and acted rashly at the expense of his daughter's happiness. Why did Finn agree to it? Jean asked. You've been away for 7 years and missed out on so many important events in my life. Monica looked disappointed. Quote. Let me explain it to you again. You know that Finn is an orphan. Back then, he relied on financial aid to go to school. Coincidentally, it was my father who funded him. Don't think too highly of my dad. As a successful businessman, he always takes profit as his starting point. His goal is to highlight his greatness to promote the development of his industry, Monica said, everything in one breath. After calming herself down, she continued, the first month after Finn graduated, he came to the hospital with a gift to thank my father. The two of us bumped into each other. Then, I fell in love with him. Jean could picture how in love Monica was. Then, I pursued him to the point that everyone knew, Monica said. My dad also quite liked Finn, so he was very supportive of it. When Finn and I were extremely close, Finn's old lover appeared, so we broke up. The night we broke up, I met Michael at the bar. He stayed with me the whole time. When he sent me home the next day, he said that he liked me and had liked me for many years. He also said that the best way to forget someone is to start another relationship. I believed him. Your relationship was really child's play, Jean commented. I was also very hurt, Monica complained. Back then, you didn't know how painful it was for me to see Finn sleeping with his old lover. It's not easy for you to see me alive now.